everybody, welcome back to Reaper Pro-Tips with me, your host Anne, disembodied voice John, maybe, Justin later, and Kiri the dog who got me up super early this morning and then I couldn't get back to sleep and it's been that kind of morning. Let's just do that, double eyebrows. It's a Monday, it's a Friday Monday. It's no fair when your Friday's a Monday. Oh, and Nara, you can always go back and catch up. Doglet, hey. She's just being, Kiri's having a day, guys. Kiri's having a day, and because Kiri's having a day, I spent the morning cleaning up poop. Because old dog. Yes, all of the morning. The long, long morning from the cold slog of pre-dawn. It's been a day. Yeah. Well, I mean, they're not going anywhere, so you have plenty of time. Unfortunately, for you, I keep putting out one a day, so if you don't paint along to one a day, then your inevitable defeat, as far as, keeping, pace on the streams is a thing, sadly. Yeah, Kiri is not, I mean, she's happy now. I'm not. Oh, and I didn't get my caffeine this morning until, just now. So, yeah. Oh, sorry that Twitch is bad, Dragon Eye. Apologies. It's a Friday, Monday. Fry Monday. Mun Friday. Mun Fry. We'll call it Mun Fry. I don't know, but it's definitely a thing. There we go. Sphinxy. Yeah. Don't feel like you have to keep up, guys. Never feel like you can't watch something just because you haven't caught up on something else. After all, Inara, maybe watching this stream will inspire you to get the Sphinx out and work on it. So, there's two things going on, right? Is getting inspired to work on something and then, what step I'm on. Though today we may do NMM just to cap off. No, Zeke, yeah, I've been there. Yeah, it's Mun Fry. Mun Friday. Well, Joe is tea. Although I was desperate enough that as David was about to go out the door, I asked him if he could make me a latte because it would have been faster. But yeah, I didn't have enough milk. He was out of milk, and I didn't have coconut milk, so I'm just doomed. It's just doomed. Everything I tried to do today to make the morning progress at a decent pace and catch up in time to be here on time just failed. So it is what it is. But I've gone late a couple days, so I don't feel like I'm, too far behind on my hours or anything. Oh, good. Great, Neo. That's fantastic. I'm glad you really like it. Yeah, well, blame Twitch chat, because they're the one who said they wanted to go really dark with the skin and light with the lion parts. So it was their awesome idea. Oh, what should we do? Guys? Do you want to do, we could either... I feel like I need to do more on the jewelry because I've still got all this jewelry on her back too. So probably I should get out my liner in white and do what I was doing on the little amulet here and get these guys kind of set up so I can do the same thing as I did up here, and then we can start coloring in all those colors. I think that's what we'll do. Sure. The problem with doing the brown liner wash is that it puts kind of a dark brown coat over everything that you might want to be bright jewel colors, like all that jewelry. So you want to undercoat it in white before you paint it those bright colors if you want it to be really, really bright. Oh, good, Inara. Yay. I hope you find them useful. I know, mileage with colors, mileage may vary a lot, right? Because everybody has a different set that they really love. So hopefully you will get some good mileage out of the paints that I love. I'm not going to be defeatist and say it's a year of Mondays. I've definitely had good days this year. So, but I am going to say that today has been kind of rough, and I hope that the rest of the day pulls its punches. How about that? Is that good? That good attitude? I'm trying to keep positivity. Yeah. Short sleep always gets me. That's the problem with old dog waking me up really early and me not getting back to sleep is just that I just am destroyed. I'm one of those people who needs lots of quality sleep to function at my best. So I'm going to go a 2-to-1 ratio on this brown liner and this pure white. Pure white because it can be thin and still cover, and I want it to come off my brush really fine. Same with the brown liner. We already have a wash of brown liner, so really what I'm going to be doing is reinforcing the details on this jewelry in as far as I can see them. Because this is a bones, sometimes it's hard to see the little details. So I want to go back in and kind of... I did not want to zoom, but I'm zooming. All right. We're zooming anyway. That's what we're going to do today. All right, have fun, Reaper John. They never behave. Come on, this is our chat. Have fun, John. Have fun at Kit Shop. Say hi to peeps for me. If anybody there still knows me. No, you cannot push the shiny candy red button, Nomad Zeke. All right, so let's mix up some of these paints here. 2-to-1 seems really thin, but for pure white, it's actually fine. Because pure white is such a god among paints. The brown liner is going to be a lot more transparent at 2-to-1. But I want it to come off my brush really smooth. Thanks to everybody who tuned into my D&D stream yesterday, by the way. We went late, but it was really fun. Alright, so I'm going to kind of, these little amulets that are hanging down, I'm going to kind of separate them out and kind of put in, I'm trying to figure out what everything is here, so mostly I think I see a little amulet hanging down with a little thing above it to attach it. And then I see this little thing here, the round thing with the circle in the center is probably just like these guys back here, so it's probably gold with a gem in the middle. So you just kind of have to look at patterns. If you see something that's kind of muddy in the detail, kind of look at what it's part of and get an idea of what it might be, and then you can paint plastic surgery it to make it look like that, and no one will be the wiser. It's a little bit rough up here, up on her haunch. It gets very narrow, so I'll probably just paint it as little beads of gold up there because it's going to be the easiest way to deal with it. I can't see much detail up there, so I think we're going to do that. So we'll just start making kind of little beads of gold. You can see how I'm kind of separating them out a little bit, and then we'll continue to do that with the white. So let me show you. No, it's not Dragon Pink. It's over on twitch.tv/paintingbig, which is my own sobriquet. I do it on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 4:30 to 6 USA Central Time. And we do cooperative roleplay. So we are creating characters and we're playing them through their session 0, their preludes, to get them all in place and together. We just finished the prelude of one of our characters and started the prelude of another. So, or are about to start the prelude of another. So we have our bard in place in our city right now. And she is this figure. So we've also been painting the figures while we've been role-playing. So that's Zari with her dog, Staccato. And then now we're about to start with Xandros, our cleric. And the Twitch chat wanted to make him follow a very interesting god. So this will be fun and exciting. Hello, Green Users back. Seeing now Bob and Julie are rewarded for lurking and watching my show every day by the fact that I'm working on Julie's Sphinx again. So what we're doing here, guys, is after we brown lined, remember I said I was going to make these little beads just going up here because I can't see much other detail. And it's really hard to reach. But beads are pretty easy. So first I put down brown liner, and now I'm just putting little dots, which more or less line up with what it looks like was sculpted. It's just, it's difficult to make out because it's kind of being compressed by your fur there. So we'll just treat it that way. And going down with the brown liner first and then coming in with the white, again, just makes it easier for you to see the details, and it'll be also easier to paint them and make those details stand out. It's also kind of two kinds of lining, because you're lining with the brown liner, and then you are also kind of doing tiny lines with your pure white as well. And so this is really good practice for brush control. So if you're looking to get better at brush control, this kind of fine work is a really good thing to do. It may be frustrating at first, but keep at it and follow some tricks. If you're on my Patreon, I did tips for building brush control faster. That was, I think, back, 2019 I did that particular thing. But it's all worth it. It's all worthwhile, and it's still all accurate, good information. So go and take a look at that if you are on my Patreon, which is patreon.com/paintingbig. And here we go. Can't riot. Yeah, Justin's. I've been promised a replacement Justin, Corey, but I'm not sure how accurate that is. Also, apologies, guys. I'm going to be drinking from my tea as we go through this because I desperately need caffeine. Thank you, Margaret, for the link to the Patreon. Hey, my tea is actually at a drinkable level, and I'm not scalding myself. That's progress. So once again, we're using brown liner and pure white. And I go back and forth between using walnut and brown liner, y'all will notice. And walnut would be an equally good paint for this. Maybe even slightly better because it covers a little bit more. It has a higher coverage, but I decided I wanted to go this way this time. Now on this other side of the jewelry, I'm trying to figure out what I've got here. Once again, it looks like I've got a succession of beads. See those 3 beads there? Now, part of these are probably meant to be amulets, but maybe they didn't fill. That one definitely is an amulet right there. And it's in the proper place to be an amulet. Kind of the same as on this other side, see? So we're going to do the same thing that we did over here. We're going to duplicate it over here till we get up over the haunch here. So when you can't see what something is, or you're not sure, or maybe the sculpt is a little bit muddy there, just don't be afraid to just kind of draw it in the way you think it is and paint it that way. Corey, this is, actually there are several brushes I like to use that have awesome tips. One second while I fetch them all. And what I use depends on kind of the area that I'm working with, and how large a brush I think it can handle. Sometimes you need a lot more control of your fluid, and so you want to go with a smaller brush. So here are the brushes that I use. Oop. Trying to get a quick tip on them all since they've been sitting over there dry. So the one that I'm using right now is my Raphael. It is a size 1, so that's why it's so huge. But it has a great tip. And really the size of the brush isn't as important as how good the tip is when it comes to miniature painting. You can use quite a large brush and still get great results, as you can see. So this is, the brand is Raphael, the size is 1, and then the series, which is the shape of the brush, I use the 8408. A lot of people like the 8404, but I like this extreme taper that the 8408 gets. My other favorite brushes, and the one that I've used for competition painting for a very, very long time, like 20 years, up until this Raphael seduced me, was the Da Vinci Maestro. So this guy, this is a size 1 also, and the series is 10, which is their standard round. You can see the 10 there. All of these brushes are going to be what's called Kolinsky Sable, which is that name right there, Kolinsky, and you will always see it on the barrel of a true Kolinsky. This one also, you will notice, has Kolinsky on it right there. So my brush succession of sizes are these. So this is also a Da Vinci Maestro. It's all just a triple aught, and it's in the same series. So the triple aught is as low as I will ever go. This is equivalent probably to a Reaper. If you get the Reaper's black handled brush, which is also a Kolinsky, it's about equivalent to an aught 10. So sizes vary from brand to brand. But all of these have, as you can see, fantastic needle-like tips. And that's a function of being a Kolinsky sable, which is the highest 2 grades of sable. The highest 2 grades of sable are essentially hand-built brushes with really high-quality hairs that come to a razor point, that you can do amazing things with. Now, as far as cost goes, a Reaper Kolinsky, which is a grade 2, which is a black handled brush that Reaper puts out, is actually pretty easy to get. It's easy to order, right? Because Reaper has them in stock in the US, if you're in the US. And so Reaper, about $9 or $10, I think, 10 or $11, depending on size. And the useful sizes that I think are really good from Reaper are 0/5 and 0/10. Like I said, the 0/10 is very similar to this. The 0/5 is not quite as large as this, but it's my workhorse brush from back when I was a Reaper staff painter. So then you get up to these guys. When you're dealing with the Da Vinci's and the Raphaels of the world, you're going to be paying more for a grade 1. Yeah, and when you get one of these, Corey, you will level up instantly in mini painting because you can hit details. So you will instantly get a little level up. Bing, do 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 do. And I kid you not. So the most you should pay probably for a Kolinsky is about $20. But keep in mind that unlike other like synthetic brushes or lower grade brushes, these brushes last for years. So what you want to do is essentially rinse them well. Don't leave them sitting nose down in your paint water ever. If you can develop the habit of not doing that, then you can get one of these brushes and not wreck it. But they're worth it. I mean, these guys are all... The Triple Odd has been around for even longer than, I think, 2 years. And then, yes, the monsters do get harder to kill, Val. That's absolutely correct. That happens throughout your career as an artist, though. The monsters just get different. But yeah, this brush I've been beating up for probably about 6 months now, and it still holds a razor tip. So I don't steam bub. I'm bad about my brush, about cleaning my brushes. And these guys, you can see, need a little bit. See the little buildup there near the bottom of the brush. So I've got some paint in my ferrule, but I actually prefer to use Winsor & Newton brush cleaner and restorer when that happens to get that gunk out of there. I don't actually use a conditioner like pink brush soap. I don't find a daily cleaner is necessary. And if anything, I suspect it may, long-term, I don't know if it's a detriment long-term because it's a conditioner also, but I don't know. I've never needed the pink brush soap or a daily conditioner for my brushes. I just rinse a lot. So it's only after like months of use that I'll get a little build up there, and then I'll use the Winsor & Newton stuff. Best painted army had to die first. I believe it, green users. Well, but that's why you paint them so well. That's why I always painted my armies well, is so that when they died, I didn't feel bad. I was like, at least they were pretty. Yeah, it's, Oh yeah, well, I mean, cheap brushes are good to start with, and then once you feel like you've got good brush habits, like I say, don't leave your brushes sitting in the paint water ever, because you're going to wreck the tip on one of these guys if you do. So get in the habit of not leaving your brushes in the paint water, and rinsing them frequently when you're working with them. Once you've got that, then you can invest in one of these. It will help you. I mean, the better your brush control is by the time you get one, the more and instantly it will help you. And after that, then it's all about learning paint consistency and learning how to thin your paint, because these brushes really excel with thin paint. If you use thicker paint, you should get actually a thicker, wider brush and not one with a tip that's quite that fine. But yeah, I don't feel you have to rush into it, Corey, but these are kind of the gold standard as far as brush tools go. And in miniature painting, as with many arts, the quality of your tools does influence your results. So get good art habits, good brush care habits. Don't worry if you're wrecking your crappy synthetic brushes. They get wrecked no matter what you do. So don't hold it against yourself if you do. But if you feel like you're taking good care of your brushes, it is worth trying out one of the more fancy brushes to see how it works for you. I must slurp down caffeine faster. Mostly because it's getting cold and I don't want to quit out from the stream to rewarm it up. So pardon me while I get my spoon laid down over here. And I'm probably going to suck down the rest of that tea in a moment. But that is your brush primer. But yeah, I find that because let's switch to the Da Vinci. Why not? Because I rinse my brushes so frequently, probably, I don't feel the need to, I don't need to wash them very often, so that's why I don't use the brush soap. I think I've kind of tried to analyze why exactly my brushes wear the way they do and last the way they do, and I think it is just that I rinse a lot, and because I rinse a lot, I don't let stuff build up in the brush. And it also means that my brushes wear kind of weird. Like, a lot of people seem to say that they blunt their tips, but in reality, my brushes just keep getting thinner as I use them. So mine get like really skinny. So I can paint with them even like years later. I'm still painting with them. It takes a long time for me to destroy a brush. I have to be painting a lot. Like, I destroyed a brush on Soldier, I think. Or I came close to it. By the time I was done with him at 140 hours or so. And I was painting other things in the meantime as well. So we've got our little amulet coming in here. Yeah, Citadel varies. Yeah, Corey. It was nice to meet you. Feel free to stop back in. But you can get lucky with Citadel brushes for sure. I mean, I painted with them when I worked for Games Workshop. Really, at that point, it's choosing a decent one. Get our little beads kind of figured out here. There. And of course, if you want suggestions, because there are many different brands of Kolinsky's, you can always ask on Reaper's social media. A lot of very experienced painters on there who will be glad to pitch in their idea of what the best brush on the market for them is, and you can look around and shop around and try a few and see how it goes. Let's see here. A little bit of override there. There we go. Oh yeah, in the Discord. Totally ask on the Discord. Thanks, T-Matt. Gonna expand my beads a little bit because I have a lot of shadow here. There we are. And it's just like slow work. Don't rush. Don't get impatient. There. And now we can see our jewelry a lot better, which is going to make it a lot easier to paint. Yay! Let me slurp down the rest of my tea, guys. Yay. Caffeinated. Or at least after the caffeine kicks in 20 to 30 minutes, I'll be caffeinated. Anyway, so this is also just good practice for painting these areas in general and figuring out what everything is, guys. Let's see here. Now we're back to here. So I'm going to kind of look. That kind of looks moon-shaped. This one looks more circular. Again, sometimes the details just don't carry so well into the plastic, so you gotta just kind of figure it out. I guess that probably is a circle that's just kind of bent. It's on a mold line, so it's kind of gotten a little bit weird. So this one, I think, is an inlaid gemstone. And then around it is going to be a setting. This is a very fancy Sphinx. But I like it when monsters wear like jewelry and stuff. Like, I especially like it if they're wearing stuff that could be magic items. Because I really believe intelligent monsters should absolutely use magic items. Like, I can see a dragon keeping, like, some human artifacts, like armor and weapons in its hoard, just, you know, for bragging rights. But if there's something magic in there that the dragon could actually use, the dragon should actually use it. Unless you've got some weird cultural thing going on with your dragons where they only like to use their own innate magic, but that's kind of a cop-out, I think. Black fur, I think, in our... although it's hard to tell because we have a little bit of a thing there, and I haven't quite figured out. It looks like it's just back fur. It doesn't look like it's sculpted to be different, but we do have a little barrette or something there, or maybe it's just a piece of fur that's just cast a little bit wonky. I'm trying to decide what. Metallic paints, it depends on what you're doing, Steambub. Probably the best recommendation I can make for you is to try a bunch of different brands because they're all very different and yet very similar. A lot of it's in the consistency and or in just the color. Reaper has two different types of metallics. We have our core metallics are a little less shiny, but we have a lot of different colors in them, including some really unique ones like our black metallic and stuff. But our bones line has more new tech, different flake that's a lot shinier. So it depends on what you're doing, because a lot of people actually like our core paints because they're a little less shiny because they photo a little bit better. But some people just want the shiny, and that's why we went with that new flake for the bones. So, and then every other paint line is going to have kind of a little bit of different take on things. Some will have a thicker base, and some will have it'll be a lot of different colors. So black for a wonky cast. Thanks, green users. Well then, since Julie says it's a wonky cast, I'm going to totally take this barrette off, or gouge it so that it looks more like fur. I'll probably just take my knife and interrupt it, and make it more rough, and that will enable me to essentially I'm taking my knife and just kind of getting in there and going rough, taking out some chunks of it, and that will enable me to paint it like fur. There we are. That'll be a little bit better. And make sure I've got that off of there. Sometimes it's hard to work with the bones material and a knife. You gotta make sure you get it off of there. There we go. Little chunk came off. Little chunk came off there. Perfect. Now I can touch it up. Bling liches, yeah. Yeah, metallics, I mean, most companies are just using mica flake. And so a lot of at least as far as the level of shine is going to be very similar from brand to brand. But the colors are going to be different. The coverage is going to be different. You know, the amount of shiny is going to be a little bit different from brand to brand, depending on what they're using. So, yeah, metallics really vary. Like, I'm pretty picky. I don't use a lot of metallics. I only use metallics on, like, big stuff, like busts. I'm going to just get some black out here so I can touch up that part that we just gouged a bit. Like, my gold metallics, I'll use anything because they're all the same. Like, in my experience, every gold metallic on the planet is using roughly the same kind of flake and gives you roughly the same kind of effect, and there isn't much to choose between them. Except for the bones dragon gold, you know, and dragon bronze being shinier. But when it comes to silver, I get, oh, there's some jewelry there. Well, dang, Julie. I just noticed that. Well, I guess now, yeah, because she's got to have something holding her breastplate on. And then it didn't take on this side because of the wing. So we're going to have to paint plastic surgery. Well, let's do some paint plastic surgery. See, it's a good thing you brought that up, Inara, because then I would never have noticed that jewelry there, and then I would have gotten done with the rest of the model and been ready to work on the wings and gone, dang it, now I have to go back and do this. So you guys can see it, right? The little jewelry, string of jewelry here. Alright, and I think I need, actually, it looks like there's a little bit of casting issue right there too, so I'm going to take it off. While I have all these colors open, I may as well do all the dress up I need to do. There. Awesome. Yeah, well, you see the reading glasses, so, you know, I can't speak much for the eyesight myself. At least not for the close-up. Alright, so now we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to, like, get up here, and we'll make that a bead, because it's kind of interrupted by a wing. And, actually, I'll show you guys a trick. How about that? So if you are really unable to do the little lines here, here's a trick. Fill in the entire thing when you've got a concentric circle like this. Any sort of target or polka dot kind of thing. So make your dot that covers up the whole thing, the outer ring and the inner part. Let it dry. And then inside of that, put a darker dot that is over the top of the final inner dot. And it's easier, what you come around to, guys, is that it's much easier to just put a dot inside of a bigger dot than it is to paint this little white rim around everything. And then you can come in with your white and put a final dot in the middle. And that's the trick. If you want to do like little rings and stuff, a ring pattern on anything, that's how. Do the concentric circle thing. It's so much easier than having to paint a ring. Yeah, works. Yeah, for everybody. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I can see that, Julie and Bob. Yeah, happily my D&D game has not gone that way. Actually, I've been amused to see my D&D game going the other way. We'll see if the party gets different when there are more players. Because they were very much all about, run away! Last night. Although it worked out well. It worked out well in a very amusing fashion. What I love about running this stream game on Tuesdays and Thursdays is that you guys always surprise me. Like, you always think of some way, or you always react in some way that is not at all like previous groups of players I've had, and so it's fun because I have to really, like, scramble. And I guess that's going to happen when I'm running a game for 30 people instead of just 4. It's amusing, though. And hey, if it keeps me on my toes, as long as I've had sleep the night before, I'm good, guys. If I ever cancel a stream, you can be assured it's because I had got no sleep the night before, and I don't feel like I can keep up with you guys. Yeah, I'm looking forward to starting painting our new character figure. There, touch up that. I do feel like I need to spend some quality time with my monster manual, though. Need to figure out what some of the monsters in the vicinity of the city are. So I don't like random encounters, but I do like, you know, to utilize stuff for flavor. I am really glad you guys chose a jungle setting. Oh, that's exciting, Inara. I can't wait for the oh no's. I hope you get a really good oh no's when that happens. The oh no's moments, they can be the best. I like the idea of a succubus mage. That's just double trouble is what that is. That's charm on a whole new level. So see, this I'm going to do with the trick that I showed you guys. I'm going to just fill in all of these with white. Then I'm going to do a black dot in the middle. Then I'm going to do a white dot inside of that. It's so much easier than painting all the little rings. And I'm going to have to paint plastic surgery one of them over here. Now, given when the wings go on, you won't really be looking back here. So doing a paint plastic surgery isn't a big deal. Probably nobody will notice. Oh, hello, Erin. How's it going? Here's Sphinxy. Her jewelry's just blocked in, but the rest of her is getting there. So yeah, we're working on getting the jewelry kind of mapped in. The jewelry we missed around her waist in just black and white or brown liner and white, so we can add some colors and get them all to stand out. It's a wild Caporia. A wild Caporia appears. Poof! Let's see here. So oh yeah, that's right. Paint plastic surgery. Okay, so if we're going to, since we didn't, as you can see, this is probably meant to go all the way around, right? Because it's probably meant to go to connect the breastplate down here. But we lost some of it in the casting process. So what we can do is do paint plastic surgery. So we know, since it's a simple pattern, we're just going to freehand it. We know there are going to be circles. And we know what size they are because they're right next to our thing. And they're going to be kind of connected circles. And we can have some of them kind of like bury themselves in the lower part of the wing here. So if we say the breastplate goes back to there, we probably could get away with just 2 little circles there. Freehand paint plastic surgery. Here we go. You will want to connect them with a dark line so it looks like they are connected. You could even make them a little bit bigger than the other ones to make it easier on yourself to paint them if you want. There. That should be fine. That'll kind of bury itself in the underside of the wing, kind of like it does over here. Oh, Bass should totally be the type to wear jewelry. I agree. Dang, now I'm out of tea and I wish I had more. I should cast summon boyfriend. He just picked up more stuff at the store. I don't know if I need a latte right now, though, guys. It might just put me over the top. I try to only have coffee very rarely, because it tends to play havoc with me a bit. But every once in a while, when I really feel like I need that boost, I'll chance it. All right, so we did our our dark circle, in this case our brown liner circle, right? Now you put your white circle inside of it. I know, actually I have one I have the Brayville tea maker, and I used to fire that thing up every morning and go through a whole pot of black or pu'er tea. That was a lot of caffeine. I'm probably better off not having that much caffeine these days. But oh, it was magical. And I did bring it with me to California, just in case I ever decide that I need a green tea habit in the afternoon. There, we'll just fudge that in. Yeah, the mini's gonna vary a bit, Rackham. The reason is that I'm so zoomed in. So when I tilt it where I have to get, a little bit closer so I can paint it, you're gonna see it go out of focus a little bit. I'm sorry. That's the problem. This camera can get really, really nice and tight where you can see every brush stroke, but then when you move it a little bit up or down, as I have to sometimes to reach something easily, you're going to get that out of focus. I try to kind of stabilize it somewhere in the middle, like my range is around here usually. That ought to be a magic item, though, the decanter of endless tea. It could come in several flavors. Like, the mage that comes up with that is going to be a millionaire. See, I think most fantasy worlds need more like stuff like that. Like, mages who are trying to innovate things that they can sell. To like the kind of practical magery. We need more practical magery in D&D worlds. Now I'm going to make a shop called Practical Magery in Port Abandon. It's going to have all sorts of interesting like devices, like sewing needles that will mend your clothes magically with a certain number of charges, and maybe a Roomba. A Roomba that looks like some sort of deranged chinchilla that goes around like eating the dust and herding dust bunnies on your floor. Like, wouldn't that be cool? Like, isn't that the magic shop you want your characters want to go in? Is practical magery. It's got to be a thing. Ah! Alright, I need to make sure I've got my tip good. Kind of got a little bit too much paint on my brush tip there, and I saw it before I even applied it to the model, so there. So then you put your little dot in the middle of your previous dot, making it very easy to create this beautiful fine ring that your friends will think you spent hours drawing, and actually it was super easy. Now when you get to trying to touch it up, if you screw it up, yes, then you may have to paint it over. But let's see, what other things could be in the shop of practical magery? Like the Decanter of Endless Tea is a gimme. Although I think to get returns on it, you'd have to like have it be not quite endless. Like, it'd need a recharge every once in a while. Because that's where the mage is going to make his money. If it's endless, then you only ever have to buy one. He'd have to, like, price it way up. Or eventually, everybody would just have their Decanter of Endless Tea, and every tea shop would no longer need to, you know... Nobody would need to pay him for anything. Yeah, right. Exactly. Exactly. Chests with cold spells for storing food. Exactly, Inara. That's what I'm feeling. That's it. That's the shop right there. The shop of magical labor-saving appliances. Invisible servant dog walkers. It would be fun to have a magical... Like, this would be a good shop for a city that hosts a college of mages. Like, because then you could see, like, all of the students, like, competing to produce, like, a... Kind of like, in Name of the Wind, where, you know, the students actually create things that they can sell in order to, like, help them raise money for school and stuff. Like, traditional crafting. That would be interesting, Tiamat. But yeah, I can totally see, like, the shop of practical magery having biannual competitions for the students at the mage school to come up with new ideas, new concepts. That way the clever proprietor doesn't actually have to, like, come up with new ideas all him or herself. They can, you know, have a competition and give the student a share, you know, pay them for the idea. So there. So now we have free-handed little jewelry to match the little jewelry that is sculpted over here. Ta-da! Paint plastic surgery. You never knew it wasn't there. You see it's flat when we turn it, but when you're looking at it dead on, you're not going to see much. Little oozes, cleaning bubbles. Aw, and they're cute. They're cute, Scrying Eye. Like, they would have to be cute oozes. Are you playing the latest WoW? Because there are cute oozes in the latest WoW. I never thought I would want an ooze pet. I did not indeed have any ooze pets until I did that quest chain and loved the ooze. So yes, cute little cleaning oozes would be adorable. Yeah, this is going to be exactly Steam Bub. Nobody's going to be looking because the wings are going to be like here, and they're not going to be looking real close at these. So this is a pretty safe area to do paint plastic surgery on. It's a lot harder to do paint plastic surgery on something that's going to be directly in the eye of the viewer. like something they're going to look at first, like the face. I'm just touching up my little circles here. And I need to fix that one because I lost the bottom of it. Yeah, well, nobody ever said that there wouldn't be a majory college's apprentice's idea that didn't get out of hand as far as that, right? I still like this idea. Like, I did run a game that was set in a college of majory once. It was super fun. All of the characters were magic users of one sort or another. And it was mostly just a straight up role-playing game. Like, not, there's only small amounts of combat. You have to watch it when your entire party is mages. Although one of them was a werelion, he was the tank, so. Keep it away from your garden, yeah. Exactly, right. I do like the idea of all these little practical magical devices, though. And this shop is totally going to make an appearance in some game somewhere. Some city. I don't know if there is a College of Majory, like an actual one. There may have been, and maybe something bad happened to it. We haven't decided that about our world yet. We have a Bardic College for sure. And we're getting an idea about priests and how they study. But we haven't really decided. And I'm not sure I want one. Like, not one that's current. I don't know. I'll have to think about it. Mages colleges have a way of getting out of hand. They make it a little too easy sometimes for characters to get a hold of magic. Unless you make them remote. Maybe the orcs have one. The orcs don't like anybody. Then it would be very difficult to, like, get to the Majory College. Which would be actually very ironic and cool. I would like that if, like, the only College of Majory currently existing in the world is actually orcish. Alright, I'm going to do these. Since Julie sculpted these so nicely, I'm going to not use the... I'm going to not use the easy trick on these since I guess I may regret that. Gotta move this around. You can see me moving the model around. When I'm moving the model around, I'm trying to get a comfortable angle to paint with. Because whenever you want to do fine detail like this, you want to have your hand at the most comfortable angle you can find. That's how you're going to build brush control. And how you're going to get good results. If you're always tensing up or you're at an awkward angle, you're not going to build brush control. And it's going to be very much more difficult for you to get a steady line. So you want to... I'm also bracing notice I brace my finger on the model. My other hand is firmly on the base. Oh, Lorf. This side is a much more difficult. And my white needs more oomph. Whole series begging to be written, yeah. I know. Let me finish my current books before I get into a new series. It could be fun, though. You'd have to make it quite different from Harry Potter and all the rest of the magical school books out there now. I might need to add just a little bit more water to my paint. My white is giving me a little bit of resistance and coming off my brush. When you start to get that, when you're starting to mess up a lot, don't question whether it's not just you. Maybe your paint has gotten a little thick. And then you want to add just a little bit of water. Yes. I'm great at ideas. Like there are very many books that will not be written, but the ideas have scampered through Anne's head. And I'm very good at extrapolating, like taking somebody else's idea and just jumping with it, running with it, and extrapolating something new from it. I very much like to take an old like trope and try to twist it to be new. That's why I'm enjoying the fantasy world we're all creating in my stream, because we've made orcs a respectable civilization, which and one of the most ancient in the world. So that is right there. That and our gods and our dragons. Every time we create something in the world, we can take it just a little bit farther and not use a stereotype, use something new. And that gives you a unique fantasy world with its own unique feel if you do that from the ground up. And you've got to start thinking originally from the beginning, with the races, with the creation, with the gods, and with your cosmology. And once you have that, you can make so many other decisions about how things would be in the world based on those things. You won't have to think real hard. It's like knowing your world, knowing your characters. I think that's why I like to why my fiction tends to be like the current book is set in a world based on Norwegian folktales, because then I can start with Norwegian folktales and go, what kind of world would this be if this was actually a thing? And, you know, create a whole world. Around the animal kings and the trolls and the folk of the underrealms and things like that, you know. So these really are kind of giving me a little bit of trouble here, so I'm doing a lot of adjustments. But it's not too bad. I got a little heavy with that. But yeah, that's why I like to, when I'm building fantasy worlds, I like to start with a real world like thing, and then say, okay, now how would this change? That's why a lot of our cultures are in the D&D game are based on real world cultures. All right, now we're to a whole new thing. So what we have here is we have see these two areas. This is a little mucky from the cast on this side, but this is where this kind of, it's not a torque, it's a reverse torque. It's a tail torque. It's a butt torque. I don't know. This piece of jewelry hanging over her rear will be, we kind of look at both sides and see how that's going to hook up here. It is a little muddy on the left, so I'm going to have to figure it out. Really extravagant households would have like different flavors of tea decanter. And then if you had like, you know, if you were a teophile, you would actually have like a zillion different decanters instead of a bunch, you know, like me having canisters of tea filling up space in our cabinet. Although David is somewhat as bad as me. Mostly because once his parents figured out he liked tea, they gave it to him all the time. All right, so we need to figure out a connection point. There's probably going to be a little ring here, because over here there's a little ring on this side. So see the little ring there? So we need to paint that ring in on the other side where it's kind of been lost. Since all this jewelry is very precise, That's why I'm taking so much time over it. I mean, yeah, you could just paint it like, you know, silver and throw a black wash over it if you really wanted to, but where's the fun in that? So this is not the get the Sphinx on the table fast kind of deployment. This is definitely the, you want this monster to be like an end boss and really impressive kind of deployment, so you'd spend extra time on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of create a ring here. Kind of like I did earlier up here, and I'm going to put a little black dot inside of it to separate it out. Because it isn't, the sculpt isn't as tight as it is here, and technically, yeah, it's not intersecting quite the same way either, so. And, you know, little imperfections can definitely be artifacts of casting. Just work with them as best you can. If everything looks tight and nice, people probably won't notice if it's just a little bit uneven. And especially if it's evident that it's the, you know, it's the cast or the sculpt and not necessarily the painting. Right, speed paint is a totally different satisfaction, Chia. I also feel like, you know, happy when I can paint something fast and decently for a game. But I really am the happiest. I'm the happiest Anne I can be when I can take my time and do a really nice job on something. So we put a little black dab in the middle of that to create our ring. I'm going to touch up the outside a little bit. And once again, this is all pre-work, but it's going to save us a lot of work when we go in with the gold, because it's going to make it very easy to see the gold and the different colors on the jewelry by doing this white underline. And it does let me fix things, as you guys have noticed, you know, when there are muddy areas in the sculpt, instead of being at the mercy of them, I'm tackling them early and fixing them with paint so that when I go and paint that area, then it's going to look just fine. I don't have to worry about it. All right, we're almost there, though. We've almost got this. We've almost got this nailed. Just a few more things. And the one that goes over her hip here has definitely got a little mold line issue, so I'm just going to have to deal with it as I can. Like, it comes right over this peak, and there was a real sharp, you can see kind of the cut there. So we'll just have to do the best we can to disguise that. Again, it's on her hip, so it's not like the wing is going to be over the top of it, so it's not going to be something that jumps out to the eye. Little flaws like that. If it was, you could spend some time with some putty and like kind of resculpt and fill in. As it is, I'm just going to try to get it good enough. I'm really happy it's Friday. Do you guys have fun things planned for your weekend? Lots and lots of painting. That's cool. I want to do a little bit of everything this weekend. I'm cooking a lot early in the week so that, like, I made fancy chicken soup last night with prosciutto in the broth to flavor it, and then pancetta, onions, and garlic and celery sauteed in the pancetta fat and added in, and shredded chicken. It was fancy chicken soup. And we have leftovers of that. And then tonight I make pork char siu, which is something that apparently David loves. So hopefully the marinade turned out good, and it'll taste fantastic. I didn't realize exactly when it went into a pork char siu marinade, but it was interesting. 34 Reaper blisters to paint still, Chia. Yeah, I need to get some cookies done. I'm almost out of my cookies in Ara, and during the holiday season, Anne is not permitted to run out of cookies. So I need to, this weekend, do some more Danish butter cookies and some more Russian tea cakes and maybe even some chocolate sugar cookies, which I love my recipe because it tastes like it tastes like Oreos, only better. It's like a really good Oreo, and then if you do the vanilla icing for the middle and you make a sandwich cookie, it's like, yum. It's total noms. But of course, being a sugar cookie, they take a little longer because you have to cut them out. I suppose I could make blobs with them, but I always feel like such a cheat if I don't actually use cookie cutters with sugar cookies. So we'll see how much baking I get done. Pathfinder, cool. That's cool, Shadow Raven. New set of drawers. Ooh, paint reorganization, Dragon Eye. That is exciting. Yeah, that's true. I put off like working on the reorg of my office, and I probably should get back on that this weekend. I need to play some WoW with David, because he's totally into the new expansion. Ooh, turkey and wild rice soup. Tasty. Yeah, I used some of my turkey bone broth to make the chicken soup last night. It definitely helps the flavor. That's the last, though. That's the last of our Thanksgiving remnants. So I'm out of turkey, but I have pork for days because I bought a whole bone-in pork shoulder for the char siu because I couldn't get it any other way at our local store. And then I just dismantled it. So now I have like pork chunks and a pork shoulder bone to use in our next ramen. And I have like 3 big chunks to do for the pork siu. And I've got like a pork roast and a pork shoulder roast and some other giant chunk. Oh, I think I was going to save it for, like we do a Chinese pork thing that's kind of like a 5-spice sriracha. So yeah, we have a lot of pork. Most of it currently residing in the freezer. And then I've got a duck in there also. We've got a lot of meat to use up. I love duck though, so I couldn't turn down, when they actually got duck back in for the holidays, I couldn't turn it down. And then after I make duck, I can make duck and wild rice or risotto. Duck and mushroom. Which is so tasty. I do take up a lot of time cooking lately. I have noticed this. Alrighty. So we've almost got this done, guys. We're blocking in this little bit now. And then I think all of our jewelry will be blocked in, and we can actually put some colors over the top and the base coat for our gold. Yeah, oh yeah, duck spring rolls. And I have spring roll wrappers. That's a really good tip. Thanks, Inara. Venison chili is so good. No, Medzik, I'm with you on that one. That's another good cold weather food that I haven't made a lot yet this winter. I am making, I've got a lamb stew that I make. That's curry cinnamon lamb stew. It's Moroccan, I think. And I'm doing that one, I think, Sunday. So we have leftovers into the week, so I don't have to cook. My cooking, it tends to be strategic for like saving myself from cooking during the week. filling in the gemstones with a dark center so that I can put the middle in. Feel like I need to do some touch up on some bits of this. It's a little black. It's a little mucky. Can work on it. You made chili last night? No venison? Yeah, Sprouts always has ground venison from New Zealand. So at least I can get venison when I want venison chili. I just can't get like cuts like I used to get when I lived in Wisconsin, where, you know, the farmer's market would have venison almost unerringly in the fall and winter. You could get venison spring sausage and stuff, or summer sausage. All right, that's definitely a blorf there. It's a Friday Monday. It's a Fry Monday, DM, but it'll get better. It can't get worse than it was this morning. I'm not challenging you, world. Knock on wood. Anne and Kiri had a rough morning, but we were hoping that the rest of the day will be good, and we can always take a nap. Power nap for the win. Oh yeah, cornbread. I have a recipe that I found out here after I moved out here, that is a sweet jalapeno cornbread that David loves. There's definitely a little bit of a mold line there that's interrupting that jewelry. But yes, we're very happy that it's a Friday, that's for sure. For me, it definitely does make a difference on Friday. One day is not just like the other. I'm trying to figure out if I had a little bit of an artifact there coming in with a knife. I think we're okay. I think there was a little bit of a flake of something interrupting me there. I'm going to turn Sphinxy around to see. Her tail, sadly, is somewhat in the way, but we'll see if I can touch it up. There we are. And I want to bring in a little bit of a separator for this ring here. I think we're getting there. We're almost there. I just like to have clear definition here because at this point, because it's gonna matter once we add in the colors that we have everything really clear and poppy. Yeah, jalapeno cornbread. Like 2 or 3 diced up, finely diced jalapenos. And then otherwise, you know, your sweet cornbread, slightly sweet cornbread recipe of choice. It actually is a great combo. The jalapenos add a little moisture and definitely just a different flavor profile. It's really good. I've tried the recipe with and without jalapenos, and the jalapenos definitely make the recipe. There are a few things I carry over from being a Texan for so long, and one is my love of Texan chili, and one is jalapenos in cornbread, and then the other is how I make steak. Because of cast iron in the oven all the way. And learning how to actually make a good steak. Like, I don't order steak in restaurants anymore. Unless it's like a really special preparation. Alright. I'm futzing a lot on this, but that's because I want this piece to be pretty. Oh yeah, I was just thinking about this the other day of trying to replicate the red lobster biscuits with my gluten-free low-carb Nomad Zeke. I'm sure there's a recipe out there for it. I make my own muffins for my breakfast, and I figured I make a savory everything muffin right now that I really like. That's kind of like an everything bagel, but a muffin. And I was thinking I should try doing a cheesy muffin, garlic cheesy muffin. See if I could get that to work as well. I like to have options for different flavors. All right, I think I've gotten this thing finally to be nice and crisp. But yeah, I can see how the Red Lobster cheesy biscuits would be really good with chili also. Except that they're very definitely savory, and I do like the sweetness of the cornbread with the salty, spicy chili. I like that contrast, so. Yeah, if he worked for them for 12 years, he's probably so not ever wanting to see one again, Dragon Eye. All right. Yay. There we go. I think we're okay. We lost a little bit. They're a little lopsided up there, but oh well. Oh, acquired a shellfish allergy. That's a bummer. Yeah, I mean, that's the advantage of doing it this way, right, Val? Is that it really lets you map it out and see how it looks. And then when you start adding color, then it's just icing on the cake. I mean, it takes a while. Oh no, I blorfed. Hit it with the water and... boop. I was thinking about doing rocks today, but I figured you guys would have more fun if I did jewelry. Now I have to wait for that to dry before I can correct it. No shrimp. Yeah, I've reacted to shrimp like once or twice, but upon reading up on it, it's the bacteria that usually cause people to have the reaction. It's the specific bacteria that tend to grow on shrimp. So ever since I started just getting like the fresh frozen shrimp and thawing them in ice water, I haven't had any problems. Just need to keep it cold and then use them fast after they're thawed. We don't have them very often because they make me just a little nervous, but my reaction was never like extremely severe. And like I said, I've eaten a ton of shrimp in the course of my life and only had a reaction twice, so. It has made me reduce shrimp, but not destroy shrimp. Not purge it from my diet. All right, yay, yay. I think we're ready to put colors on. Yay, awesome. All right, so we want to put the gold in first because there's a lot of it. And then if we mess up on the gold, then it's easy for us to touch up and put the white back on where the gems go. So I always do the gold first. So let's get Sphinxy down here and let's get our gold mixed up. I can go a little long because I started a little late. The Kiri is mostly okay. And I totally get some more caffeine after this. So rich leather, about a 4-to-1 paint to water. Just you need it thin enough that it'll come off your brush in these nice thin lines, but you also want it thick enough that it covers decently so you don't have to paint these thin lines more than once. You can add a little bit of flow improver if you want instead of water, Reaper flow improver specifically for this sort of thing. I think I'm going to actually switch to my small brush. Small. Just because I don't want a lot of paint. Having a brush that doesn't hold a lot of paint means you have to reload more often, but it also means that you're less likely to get a big paint blorf because you have very little paint on your brush because you have a tiny brush. So sometimes for little details like this. So this is exactly what I did up here on the shoulder and various places elsewhere on the model is I did the white and then put the rich leather over the top. The other color I've used as a groundwork for gold NMM is Uniform Brown 9127. It's very similar to this, but has slightly better coverage because it's just a touch lighter. And it works great for NMM gold. So if you find that rich leather is just a little bit more transparent than you like, go for Uniform Brown 9127 instead. Now, normally I would make this hanging amulet gold, but because her fur is gold, I think I want to go with more of contrasting color, so I'm going to leave it kind of as a chunk of lapis or turquoise, depending on what we decide to do as we block in colors on these guys. I want something that'll show up a little bit better. So you see I am reloading my brush a lot because it's such a small brush, so that's one of the things about if you're going to use a tiny brush, you're going to end up reloading a lot. But in this case, I don't so much mind that as long as it's allowing me to control the paint. And this would be the equivalent again for this size of brush would be something like the Reaper 05 or Reaper 010 in their Kolinsky Sable, which are the brushes I used when I was a staff painter for Reaper. On-site staff painter as opposed to remote, since I still technically, if I'm sending around minis every once in a while, I still can call myself a staff painter. So now we're going to use this to go over, and the great thing about using the rich leather here is the transparency works for you. If I go a little bit over the dark color, you're still going to see the white part show through better, right? I painted over this entire little ring with this rich leather, but you can still see the dark middle and you can still see the light ring holding on the jewelry together. So that's one advantage of doing a transparent color for your base coat for NMM gold, even though sometimes you feel you may need to touch it up or go over it twice. If you blorf after you've done this kind of underpainting, it's going to hold up pretty well to that. And I am being cautious as I'm going in some of these areas, because I really would rather not paint over my jewels and have to redo them. Now, it is going to be a challenge to make this gold show up really well against the lion parts here, and we're going to be strongly depending on highlighting for that to make the gold appear shiny and really make it pop out and stand out against the golden lion fur here. We're going to be using a lot more yellow too to brighten the color. So all of these tactics. But starting with this white and near black underpaint will help this stand out also. Because it's such precise detail. And even if I zoom out, you can still see that jewelry is different. Even though the lion fur is very close, it still stands out. So that's what you want. No shrimp is sad, but like my parents don't don't have turkey for Thanksgiving anymore because my dad is allergic to the skin. And started to be allergic to like the dark meat and stuff. So there must be something in the fat of the skin, he thinks, that's affecting him. So if you go to my parents' house for Thanksgiving, you do not get turkey. Have your turkey in advance somewhere else. Here we go, kind of getting this blocked in. I will definitely need a nap on this Friday. Kiri's like, you're telling me. She's conked out over there on her dog bed. Yes, Doglet, but you can nap all day because you're a dog. Humans cannot nap all day. They have work to do. Now for these little beads, I could choose to, the little round beads that I did there, I could choose to make them a color instead of gold. And so I think I'm going to hold off on painting them and see if I want to do that, because it'll help break up all this gold and I could probably get away with it. And it would add a little bit more color down here. So I think I'm gonna wait, not paint those gold, even though originally I was going to, and see how they look if I paint them in different colors. These big round beads, and the beads over on this side, same thing. Though I do see a little spot further back that I need to bead a bit more. Got a big blank dark spot back there I need to fill in. All right, now a bit of gold down here, and we will have mocked in our gold. It didn't take that long, as you can see. I mean, oh, we have to do our little chain back here too. But it doesn't take that long once you've got the dark and light blocked in. Now for these little guys, yeah, we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I managed to do it. Little brush is little. Sometimes the tiny brush makes it easy to paint these little things. I don't use the tiny brush often because usually I want to be painting for a longer period of time on something, but for these little guys where I can just do like one bead and then reload and do another bead and then reload, I don't mind so much. It gives me good control. Gold is going to go here. Gold is going to go here. Once again, I'm going to leave these little medallions to be a stone. Now here I've got kind of a double rim of gold around this central gem. But that's all right. So we've got the setting and then we've got the amulet, and part of it's buried in her hair. It's a very fancy Sphinx for sure. Alrighty. And I do need to get up here on the crown. I do need to block those in with gold. I forgot to do that before. And these little beads on either side of her face are going to be colored, so I'm not going to do those as gold. We've got a vulture and a cobra, I believe, for these little critters on top of her headdress. Yep, have fun, Dragon Eye. Thanks for stopping in. There we go. Just make sure we get all the gold kind of put in. so that when we go to highlighting it, we are ready to do everything at once. Because Egyptian models tend to have a crap ton of gold on them. So you may as well get everything prepped and base coated so that when you have all your other colors mixed up, you can just tackle the whole dang thing. The exception is if I'm doing a very, very large model, then I'll do it sections, even if there is a lot of gold or NMM of one color from one section to the next. Just because with a really big model, it's going to take you a while to paint each section. So it's not as important to try to get it all done at once, even if it is annoying to have to mix up your colors again and again. Got a little bit more shadow in there. It's nice to get some more paint on Sphinxy. She's coming along really well. Yeah, Shadow Raven. Thanks. Yeah, Kiri's looking at me with that face, so we're probably getting close, and it's 10 minutes past. So, John or Justin, whichever one of you is here, if you would look for a raid for us.
Hello.
Hello.
Let's see here. Oh, Luca is on. Thank you,
All right.
Strong.
Yeah. Well, let's just Luca then. That sounds great. Let's go toss the ball back. It's got to be late where he is.
And there we go.
Super fantastic, guys. Thank you so much. We are at least progressing on Miss Sphinx. We're starting another new model on Monday. I'm just starting a whole bunch of new ones. This will be a dancing girl this time. I'm hoping to do some freehand. We'll see. It's very, very tiny, so we'll see. But thanks, guys, and I hope you have a great weekend. I hope you enjoy your baking, your cooking, your painting, your wowing, whatever you're doing. Have a good one. I'll see you on Monday, all right? Bye.
Thank you very much, guys. Feeling good, actually.